Have you ever walked into like a party or a networking event and you just get that like instant wave of, oh no, everybody's looking at me. What am I doing here?
I think we all have at some point.
Yeah, totally. And it's those moments of social anxiety and also just, I think, wondering how can I be more confident that we're going to dive into today
That's
with
it.
these articles you sent over. So we're going to look at the practical stuff like how to handle those awkward situations,
Right.
but also the big picture stuff like what even is confidence, you
Yeah,
know?
it's getting at the root of it.
Exactly. And there's some really fascinating stuff in here, especially that Buddhist perspective on authentic confidence. But we'll get to that. First, let's talk strategy. Like, what can we actually do in those moments when we feel that social anxiety creeping in? This Mindful Health Solutions blog post you sent, it's got some good tips. They're big on preparation, which I can totally get behind.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times that anxiety comes from the unknown, right? Like,
Yeah.
who are these people? What am I supposed to say? So if you can take away some of that mystery,
Yes.
imagine walking into that party, but this time you already know a few people there. You know the general vibe, maybe even what kind of music they'll be playing.
It's like having a cheat sheet for the social scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that little bit of familiarity can make a huge difference in how comfortable you feel.
Totally. And, you know, the BetterHelp article, they actually take it a step further. They talk about how your body language can actually influence your own confidence. Oh, that's so interesting.
Right. It's like how you walk into the room, your posture, your eye contact.
Yeah,
It all sends a message not just to other people, but to yourself as well.
that's fascinating. So even if you're feeling a little shaky inside, if you walk in with confidence, head up, shoulders back, you might actually start to believe it yourself.
It's like faking it till you make it, but with your body.
Exactly.
And speaking of baby steps, the Mindful Health Solutions people, they talk about setting these really achievable goals for yourself. Like, don't put pressure on yourself to be the life of the party right away.
No, no, no.
Maybe your goal is just to talk to one new person.
I love that.
Or even just to stay at the event for a certain amount of time, even if you're feeling a little awkward.
It's like you're training your social muscles.
You wouldn't expect to run a marathon without training. Right. So why do we put so much pressure on ourselves to be social butterflies overnight?
That's a great point. And hey, remember the buddy system from like elementary school?
Yeah.
It still applies.
Absolutely.
Having a supportive friend with you can make all the difference.
Totally. Someone to have your back, maybe jump in if you're feeling stuck in a conversation.
It's like having a social safety net.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about when that anxiety inevitably creeps in during the event? The Mindful Health Solutions article talks about these grounding techniques. Have you ever tried any of those?
Oh, yeah, they're so helpful. It's about bringing your attention back to the present moment. So deep breaths, focusing on your senses. What do you see, hear, smell?
So simple, but so powerful.
It's like hitting the reset button on your nervous system.
Totally. And you know what I love? This blog post actually gives you some conversation starters.
Oh, that's great.
Because let's be real, who hasn't been in that awkward silence where you're just like, please, somebody say something, anything.
The worst, right.
But if you have a few go-to topics in your back pocket, like, have you seen any good movies lately? Or even something as simple as, what's your favorite type of pizza?
It's a lifesaver.
Totally. And once you get a conversation going, they talk about the importance of active listening,
Oh, so important.
which not only makes the other person feel heard,
Mm-hmm.
but it also takes the pressure off of you to be like super witty and entertaining all the time.
Because then you're actually present in the moment.
Yeah.
You're not just stuck in your head worrying about what to say next.
Exactly. Okay, so we've prepped, we've arrived, we're chatting, but what about after the event? I love this. The Mindful Health Solutions article, they talk about the importance of post-event reflection.
Interesting.
It's like reviewing game footage.
Yeah, like debriefing after a big game.
Exactly. Did we score any goals? What could we have done better?
Right.
So we've got all these tools now to actually handle the social situations.
Yes.
But, you know, I always want to get deeper, right?
Of course. Get to the why.
Like, why are some people just naturally confident? What is this thing called confidence? And that's where the other articles you sent really come in.
Okay, yeah.
They go beyond just the how-to
Right.
and really dig into the root of what confidence is.
Yeah.
And this Buddhist perspective from the Kadampa Buddhism article, it was so interesting because they have this whole idea of worldly confidence versus authentic confidence.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what.
It's like worldly confidence is all about external validation.
Okay.
It's like how much money you make, what kind of car you drive, how many followers you have online, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like your status symbols, your achievements.
Exactly. And the problem is those things can be fleeting.
Totally. You lose your job, suddenly you're not so confident anymore.
Exactly. But authentic confidence, that comes from within.
So what does that look like? How do you build that?
It's about cultivating qualities like kindness, compassion, integrity, things that don't depend on external circumstances.
So it's less about, look at me, I'm successful, and more about, how can I show up as my best self in every situation?
Exactly.
I love that.
It's a much more stable, sustainable kind of confidence. Think about someone you admire for their quiet strength, their humility.
Okay.
They might not be the loudest voice in the room, but you're drawn to their presence.
That's such a good point. It's like that quiet confidence you see in someone who's volunteering their time or helping others. They're not seeking validation. They're
Right.
just acting from a place of genuine care.
And that actually ties into something interesting from the Al-Wujud article about bullying.
Okay.
They argue that a lot of bullying stems from a lack of authentic confidence.
Like they're trying to build themselves up by tearing other people down.
Exactly. True confidence isn't about making yourself feel better by making someone else feel worse.
That's so true.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that someone else's success doesn't diminish your own.
And speaking of recognizing things, the Al-Wujud article, they also talk about the importance of challenging negative self-talk,
Right.
which I think we all struggle with that to some extent, right?
Absolutely. That inner critic can be brutal.
It's like constantly second-guessing ourselves, focusing on our flaws, all that stuff.
Right. And we often have a much harsher view of ourselves than we would ever have of someone else.
100%.
So one really practical tip from the article: actually write down your strengths and your weaknesses,
Okay.
and then just compare the length of each list. I think you might be surprised at how much longer the strengths list actually is.
That's such a good idea. Okay, so to recap, we've got this beautiful idea of authentic confidence from the Buddhist perspective. Then this reminder that true confidence isn't about putting others down, but lifting everyone up. And this super practical tip about actually writing down your strengths and weaknesses. I mean, it's a lot, but it's all connected, right?
It really is.
It's like building genuine confidence. It's not just about these external skills, although those are super helpful, but it's also about this inner work.
Yeah, it's an inside job.
Yeah. So how do we take all these tips, these deeper insights, and actually put them into practice in the real world?
Well, we've talked about the importance of preparation, of setting achievable goals.
Right.
But one thing that really stands out to me, and we touched on this earlier, is the power of body language.
Oh, yeah. That BetterHelp article, they were all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying it's not just about looking confident for other people.
Right.
It actually affects how you feel about yourself, too.
Totally. It's like your body is sending signals to your brain, even if you don't consciously realize it. So if you stand up straight, make eye contact, smile, your brain's like, oh, we must be feeling good. We must be confident.
It's like you're tricking your own brain into feeling better.
In a way, yeah. And the cool thing is, it actually works.
That's amazing. And, you know, it makes me think about another big takeaway from all these articles. Practice makes progress.
Absolutely. Just like anything else, confidence is a skill you can develop.
Totally. It's like you're not just born with it or without it. It's something you can work on.
Exactly. And the more you put yourself out there, the easier it gets.
It's so true. You know, I'm naturally kind of an introvert.
Oh, really?
I know. Hard to believe, right?
Well, I wouldn't have guessed.
But seriously, like when I first started doing this podcast,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I was so nervous.
Really?
Yeah. Putting myself out there, even if it's just my voice,
Yeah.
it was terrifying.
I can imagine.
But I knew I wanted to share these deep dives with people, so I just kept practicing, kept pushing myself.
Yeah.
And you know what? It really does get easier over time.
That's so great to hear. And it's a good reminder for everyone listening, too. You don't have to be perfect right away.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep showing up, keep trying, and you'll get there.
Absolutely. And, you know, on that note, I think it's important to acknowledge that if social anxiety feels like it's really holding you back,
Yeah.
there's no shame in getting help.
100%.
Like therapy can be amazing for that.
Absolutely. A
Mhm.
therapist can give you personalized tools and strategies for managing those feelings.
Totally. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into social anxiety and authentic confidence, is there one final thought, one golden nugget of wisdom that you want to leave our listeners with?
You know, I think the biggest takeaway here is that confidence, it's not this magical thing that some people just have and others don't. It's a journey. and it's one that anyone can take.
I love that. It's about embracing the process, the ups and downs, the whole shebang.
Exactly. So be kind to yourself along the way, celebrate your progress, and never be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Beautifully said. And hey, listeners, if you're on this journey too,
Yeah.
we're right there with you. Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep diving deep into the things that matter to you.